I don't drink team. It's your boy Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with best things about Australia. 10 things you miss about Australia. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. What we got?
Hello, good day, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about 10 things that we miss about Australia. So those of you who don't know and need a little bit of a backstory, we are both from two different countries. I'm from Australia, Sam's from England. When I was 19, I moved over to England. I lived here for 2 years. I met Sam, we fell in love. He followed me back to Australia, we got married, and then we lived there for 2 years, and then we came back to England. So I've lived in England for 2 years, Sam's lived in Australia for 2 years, and now I've decided to come back to England. But we...
Don't you just love the love story? Don't you just love come from countries away, falling in love, living in each other's home country for a little bit? Like, I love it. All right, keep going.
Do miss a lot of things about Australia. So we thought we might give you a little insight into what our time was like while we were in Australia by going through a list of 10 things that we miss from living there.
Okay, so we made a list of 10 things that we specifically loved about living in Australia. It's such a beautiful country, and we're going to talk about a few of those things now. Number one is the beaches. For real. Australia has so many beautiful beaches. We had the pleasure of traveling to loads of them.
Yeah.
Soft sands, swimmable water.
Oh man.
Crystal blue water as well.
You just can't swim in the beach here.
Nah.
You just can't. I mean, not up in the northeast of England, but in Australia, you can swim in the beach just about everywhere.
Just about.
But our most favourite beaches would be the beaches along the coast. I'm looking down here because we've made a list.
Hey.
A little list. Sam wrote the list. His handwriting is quite scratchy, so I'm struggling to read it, but anyway.
I feel you, Sam. I have absolutely, not just scratchy handwriting, I have absolutely terrible handwriting, Sam. Yeah, it's probably a lot better than mine.
Favourite beaches would be the beaches along like the south middle east coast. Yeah, definitely.
New South Wales coast, where it's at.
Yeah, sort of from Sydney Northern Beaches up to like the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, we miss the beaches.
So Kings Beach, the northern beaches of Sydney, and also Newcastle Beach.
Number 2, we miss...
Yeah, those beaches are absolutely just gorgeous, bro. I would miss that too. Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And I like how my guy said swimmable water. She's like, yeah, you just can't swim in the beaches here. Water just ain't good enough. It's not like Australia. Australia got top tier crystal blue beautiful beaches. Talk to me.
Miss the weather. That is the typical one that I think everybody will talk about when they say, why did you move back to England? The weather in Australia is so much better.
So many people said that, man.
So many people.
I've heard that.
But to be specific, we don't just miss the weather in Australia, we miss the weather in winter in Australia. Yeah. We actually do not miss the weather in summer at all, because where we lived, which was far north Queensland, the weather in summer was just unbearable. It's sticky, hot, horrible, but we're not going to go into that because we're talking about 10 things we miss about Australia.
Okay.
So it would be the weather in winter. It's nice and warm, it feels crisp, and air is clean, and it's like 20-25 degrees, and that's winter.
And at night there's actually respite from the heat because the temperature drops down to like 10 degrees or something, maybe a bit lower at times, but it's like it cools off at night. So you get like the beautiful warmth of the day, which isn't searing heat, but then you get the gentle cool of the night, which you can get cozy in. Yeah. You kind of miss that.
You don't get that in summer. It's hot through the day, hot through the night. You're just hot all the time. So we miss the weather in winter.
Yeah, winter.
I'd rather hot than cold, but I don't like just hot constantly, bro. But I guess that's why air conditioning was made, but also why heating was made for cold. So I use it. But yeah, if I had a choice, I'm choosing to live in the hot than the cold. And most people, I feel like when I watch UK videos or England videos, they just always talk about like how the weather's bad, like how just not rocking with the weather, just gloomy, just gray, just, you know what I'm saying? Just not no bright sunlight, not no, this is a nice day today, I'm gonna go. I just haven't seen a video where they talk about that in the UK, but keep going.
3 would be the food. Overall in Australia, we feel like the food quality is just better. It's no surprise they have a lot more easy access to tropical plants and weather. Obviously, that's better for growing tropical fruits and vegetables. Also, they have a lot of red volcanic soil.
This is up where we lived, far north Queensland, so I guess the whole of Australia wouldn't be like this. It might be different if you lived in the city, but this is just from our personal experience from our time in Australia.
Yeah, true. So yeah, up in far north Queensland, this red volcanic soil is incredibly like nutrient dense, and so it just produces these amazing fruits and vegetables, man. So like, I remember you always used to talk about how mangoes here in England. Oh. The first time you came over, you were like, "Oh, what
is this?"
And now he's like, "What? These are great, they're mangoes." But if you've never experienced anything else, then you don't know. But you come over to Australia, and then you get into mango season, where there are literally trees on the sides of the road filled with mangoes that you can pick and just go at them. Yeah, they are amazing. Yeah, they taste so much better.
I would never buy a mango here because I would just eat it and be like, "This is sad."
It's a fraud.
They're sour, bitter. Oh, anyway. Number 4 is apple.
Hey, I don't even eat mango, but y'all made me want to try your Australian mango. Let me get to Australia and try these fruits and see just how much better they are. But I'd be scared. Because if I tried them and they were really just that good, bro, then I have to come back home to America and be like, bro, what is this fruit that I'm eating? This is trash. You know what I'm saying? I'm scared to be introduced to greatness and then have to come back to mediocrity in the fruit world. I don't know if I can do that. But keep it going.
Access to adventure. Now again, this has probably got something to do with the fact of where we lived, but then also just all across Australia there are plenty of facilities that make it easier for you to go on adventures. So for example, where we lived before we moved back to England was right in the middle of the rainforest. We were a 10-minute walk from this beautiful creek that was just totally secluded and fresh, clean running water that you could swim in, no crocodiles or anything like that. And we could just go for a little adventure and go for a day out hiking through the rainforest and a swim in this beautiful mountaintop creek. And then we also went travelling in a van for 2 months, and that was a huge adventure. And it was made a lot more accessible and convenient because of the fact that there are just barbecues everywhere, there are free toilets and showers everywhere, and so Australia is almost like set up. It has the facilities for you to just be able to go on an adventure and be able to cook yourself food and have a shower, albeit cold and in a public toilet. You're still able to do that if you want to, and we definitely took advantage of that, which I'm very, very thankful for.
Yeah,
it's definitely not as easy to just do that in England.
No. Number 5 is swimming. I know we've already touched on
Hey, that's really cool. Just get in a van and go traveling for 2 months, bro. Just like throw caution to the wind. Let's go have a good time and explore the country. Like, that's so freaking awesome. Like, that sounds so freaking cool. The hiking in the rainforest and stuff. Me personally, I don't know if that's for me. It sounds amazing. Clear blue water, you get to take a little dip in, no crocodiles. That sounds amazing. But rainforest and like some animals in there that I probably would not mess with, that would probably scare me, to be honest. So I don't know if that's for me. But the adventures, maybe I would step out and try it. Step out of my bubble, out of my comfort zone, adventure zone, live a little, you know. That's really cool.
Touch on this a little bit by talking about the beaches. There are so many places you can swim in Australia, and it's amazing because the water isn't, desperately cold that you just can't get in because it's like a physical, mental challenge every time to do that. Yeah. You can be driving along and just find creeks and little rivers and things that you can just get into in fresh water if you live in the right area.
Wow.
Even salt water, to be honest, like sometimes, although there is a danger element of like crocodiles, sharks further south,
getting in that.
jellyfish
Not
as well
getting in that.
certain parts of the ocean. But
Can't
on the whole,
do it.
Like there are
Can't
more
do it.
lakes, there are more creeks, things you can swim in, and it just makes it such a sort of like what you said before, accessible to adventure. Like you can just sort of get off, go around in swimming shorts, and just get in a creek.
I can remember as a kid, we'd be driving from, I don't know, maybe Cairns back to the Tablelands, which is about an hour and a half drive, and we'd just pull in at a creek on the way home, jump out, have a swim, and get back in. We'd always have towels in the car. I think that was another thing, like, because the swimming is so accessible, you've just got towels in the back of the car, and we just jump in our clothes, go for a swim, cool down. It's very convenient in summer. And then jump back in the car, wrap ourselves in a towel, and we'd head home. And I miss that. I miss being able to swim as often as we did in Australia.
Yeah. A couple of examples of that would be Lake Eacham and the Crystal Cascades in Cairns.
Number 6 is the local markets. I really miss going to the local markets, and I don't know about everywhere in Australia, but I know definitely where we used to live on the Atherton Tablelands, there were markets every single weekend, and you would just go from village to village and they'd rotate through, and there'd always be plenty of fun things to see. And I know that there are still markets here in the UK, but they're kind of set up to just go and get what you need and get out of there, whereas the markets in Australia seem to be a lot more fun and exciting, and it's more of a social event to go to the markets, and there's a lot of nice things to see. It's not just like a whole bunch of old scrapyard stuff with some fruit and veggies. It's actually really nice, good quality fruit and vegetables, a lot of different sort of things that you wouldn't see in the supermarkets, which I really like as well. And then there'll be people face painting, there'll be kids who are busking and playing their musical instruments, there's guys who carve timber, there are people who make mosaics, there's beautiful artwork, there's plants, there's chickens, like there's all these kind of things that you can go to the market to see and do, and I just miss that so much.
Now in saying that, a disclaimer there
that sounds like a great time. They might go into the markets, just sound like a good time. Grapefruit and veg. I don't eat veg, so I'll say grapefruits. And yes, I don't care where the veg is grown. If it tastes different somewhere, I'm not a vegetable guy. I just can't do it. I cannot do it. I do not like it. But fruits, I love certain fruits. Most fruits I love. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got people playing music, got kids running around, got wood being carved, got incredible mosaics being made. It just sounds like a great time, honestly. And I love this, the fact that they can swim in almost a creek or a lake, just find somewhere fresh water and dive in. I wouldn't do the salt water, but fresh water.
Probably some wonderful markets in the UK that happen in like small towns, and you know, we went to York one time and there were beautiful markets there, but it's kind of really only enjoyable in the summertime when it's warm in spring. And
that's true. As
we know in England, us Brits, we know that's a very savoury short amount of time before the winter, the long dark night of winter ensues again.
There'll still be rainy days when there's markets on in Australia, and those days aren't as nice and everything's really muddy and all that kind of thing, but it's still, I don't know, there's a different buzz to it. You put on your gumboots, your wellies.
Wellies.
Your gumboots.
Your gumboots, mate.
And you head to the markets and get your fruit and vegetables, and you'll still see people there walking around with a coffee and their umbrella, and I don't know, it just feels different.
Buy a snag and some chips, have a feed. Okay, number 7 would be space of properties. It's crazy in Australia how much space there actually is.
Yeah.
The country itself is huge.
Yeah.
The vast majority of it is just uninhabitable because of how dry and hot it actually is, which is remarkable in and of itself. But the amount of space that people actually have on their properties on average compared to the UK is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even in town, it's typical to have some sort of a backyard. And when I say a backyard, not just a little concrete patch out the back, but actually like what we would call here in England a garden. That is just your typical backyard, back lawn. Like you've got a decent patch of lawn for the kids to run around in, put a play set up. That's just normal in town in Australia.
And in some rural places, to be honest, it's even normal to have several acres of land.
Yeah.
That's just average.
Yeah.
Your dad, for example, his house is about, what?
6 acres.
6 acres? So the dog can just run around freely.
Yeah.
6 acres is crazy. That's so much land. But yeah, I feel like here in America, you also need, you get plenty of space. Like you get a backyard or front yard. If you own like a home, usually, you know what I'm saying, you have a good amount of space with your home. And I guess in the country, rural areas, you do get an acre or two. 6 acres is a lot of land. That's a lot of land. That's very nice.
And I mean, only 2.5 of that is cleared, and the rest is all rainforest. And in that area, just about everyone on that street has the same thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which is amazing. It actually makes for a lot of really beautiful times spent with space and outdoors and kids running around and, you know, freedom and space. It's just really beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful way to live.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it encourages you to get outside more as well. And I guess even when the weather's not great, like where I grew up in Australia, the wet season was like wet, like torrential rain.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't just be cooped up in the house during that. I can remember literally going out in the streets and boogie boarding down the streets when there would be torrential rain.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
Just because the gutters would fill up and we'd just jump on the boogie boards and slide down the street. So we'd get out and have fun even when the weather wasn't great. And I think having like Having a bit of property and a bit of land and just being used to being outside, I think makes you a little less precious when it comes to being outside when the weather's not great.
Yeah.
So I think that helps with the outdoorsy lifestyle. Number 8 would be the earlier starts. Now, we have learned that we are actually morning people when it comes to not so much the getting up part, but once we're already awake and going, we much prefer getting up early in the morning, starting our day early.
My kind of people right here. These are my kind of people right here. Yeah, morning person. Morning person is just, that's who I am. Mornings, I love being able to start my day early in the morning. I love feeling like accomplishing tasks, getting things done very early to whereas it's starting to get towards the evening, my body can start winding down. I can start relaxing. I can start getting ready for bed. And then I'm in bed around like 10. Probably asleep no later than 10:30 every night. It's just a nice feeling. Ain't nothing going on at night. Ain't nothing going on. Everything is happening during the day. So I want to be awake when everything is happening and asleep when nothing's happening. Talk to me.
And then just having more time to be a bit more relaxed and getting ready and all that kind of thing. And in Australia, we found that it was more typical that people would get up and start their day earlier. And it's interesting because the lifestyle is also more laid back. And what I think happens here is when you get up early, and when I say early, I mean when we were in our van traveling and we were camped up by the beach, people would be out and about walking along the beach at 5:30 in the morning. The coffee shops would open at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
Crazy.
Everyone's out and about, surfing, swimming, walking, getting their coffee, back home ready to get ready for work at 7, 8 o'clock, and then they're off to work and starting their day. And I think that helps everyone be a little bit more laid back and relaxed because you've actually got more time in your day.
Yes.
I mean, when I first moved to England, I could not believe that we didn't get up out of bed, the family that I was living with and working for as an au pair. We didn't get out of bed until 8 o'clock in the morning. The shops didn't open till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, wake up!
I swear to God,
Let's get into the day.
8 a.m., I feel like now, the latest that I get up is 6:30, 6:45. That's the latest that I'll get up. Cause like them, I like starting the day early. 5:30, I get up at 5:30. Like 5 o'clock for 2 days out of the week. But I don't like it. I feel tired throughout the day if I get up too early, no matter how much sleep I get. So my goal target is like between 6 and 6:45. I get up anytime between that, then like I'm good to go for the day. It's a good day. I'm relaxed. I am chilled because, like I said, I have accomplished all my stuff. I have knocked everything out. I need to get knocked out. I have plenty of time to do it, so I'm not stressed about trying to rush things because I woke up early enough to get everything done. So I rock with them.
And not be so rushed because we've only got a shorter amount of hours to actually get things done.
Another part of this comes back to the weather. When you wake up at 5 in the morning and it's like 18 degrees already, it's pretty easy to get out of bed.
That's true.
Especially if the heat is coming through your windows or anything like that, it's starting to heat your room up. You kind of want to get out of bed. In England, we know that as soon as you lift the sheets, it's like the hailstorm, the avalanche, the snowstorm comes in and you begin to smuggle raisins, so to speak.
What?
Your nipples, when you get cold, your nipples, they get hard. Smuggling raisins.
You begin to smuggle raisins. That's the first time I've ever heard that as well. But I also do agree with that. Like, my girlfriend, she freaking likes the AC. Like, going to sleep on like 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Not sure what that is in Celsius, but I'll tell you it's cold. It is cold. And with the fan on. 62 with the fan on. Like, that's insanity. It's absolute insanity. Getting out of the bed is much harder when it is cold. I don't know if it's like, it just seeps all the way into my bones, and my bones just, it's a little harder to push out of bed. I don't know. I'm just more stiff, and I just don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to.
No.
I've never heard that.
Okay, now you know. Smuggling raisins.
That's hilarious.
It's when your nipples poke through your shirt. It's like, hey, you smuggling raisins there?
I mean, there's people who know, but I just don't know.
Well,
I didn't know that either.
I learned something new today.
You did.
Yeah.
Hopefully they did as well.
Hopefully.
At least you did.
Comment below if you didn't know what smuggling raisins
I didn't know what smuggling raisins. You appear
Number
to be
9
smuggling
is a
raisins.
particular one that I love about Australia, and this is access to good quality sports facilities. So, I am a basketball player, or at least I used to be.
Hey.
I always will be at heart. I always loved the sport of basketball. One thing that has pained me about growing up in England. It's so cold that you often just can't play outdoors because your fingers just go numb and it's so painful. But in terms of indoor facilities, it's just so hard to just find somewhere you can play indoors and play basketball. In Australia, it's actually too hot often to play outside. Like, it's just dangerous. Like, you could just die. Yeah. The heat is so intense.
Like, you could just die. Like
that's true.
And it's just exhausting as well. Like, you sweat.
The concrete as well, I think when you're playing on a concrete, it's just the heat. Too much.
The brilliant thing is that with indoor facilities, which are often amazing because they invest a lot in their sports infrastructure, you can go and basically just pay like $3, $5, which is like £2.50, £3 for a shoot around during the week. So if there's like no activities booked onto the court at that time, at this particular court, you can just go on and just start shooting around for as long as you want until someone else comes on, which is like amazing. That's like a dream. Like, if I could have had that here in England, like, I would have done it all day, every day. But no, unfortunately, you have to book at least the size of 30 people in order to pay for the full court for 1 hour, no longer than 1 hour, and you usually get kicked off 10 minutes before that anyway.
Jesus.
So this is a deep frustration of mine, but it's a beautiful thing.
Now that I think about it, I don't know any basketball players like the NBA that are from England, from the UK. I don't know any. If y'all know any, hit me in the comment section. But now that he says that, shoot, I guess basketball just isn't as big a deal over there in England, over there in the UK. It's because I can't think of one that's from there. That makes sense. What he's saying does make sense. It does. Dang, they just not hoopers over there. Yeah, it's the same deal here where you can like just go find a court, pay like $5. Go hoop for the day if you want to, have a good time, or you can pay for a membership, like a monthly membership. End up paying like $20 a month, and whenever the court's free, you can go in there and play basketball. And a lot of places also have like a weight room that you can lift weights, and all that comes with a membership. Membership might be a little more expensive if there's things outside of basketball to do. But, you know what I'm saying? If you end up playing a lot, it's a lot cheaper to go for a membership, right? Because if you go for like 10, 15 days out of the month, it's way cheaper. But yeah.
Think about it. It makes it so much more accessible, and you can just do it, and it's wonderful. So a little dream of mine. And yeah, you know, the quality of the facilities is just way better. I feel like every other basketball net in England just gets burnt by chavs within 5 minutes of it getting put up. So
I think maybe the culture in Australia as well, like people appreciate and respect sport.
They do. So
that's all I've got to say on that. This is my one. Okay. Fantastic. I'm glad you got the last one and I got this one.
Yeah, it works well, doesn't it?
It did work out well. Number 10 is the coffee. I miss the coffee in Australia, and I think unless you've been, I don't know, unless you've been outside of England, I don't want to just like
bag on England.
Go ahead.
Unless you've tasted the coffee in Australia, I don't think you're going to fully appreciate what I have to say here.
It's like mangoes, right?
It's like the mangoes, exactly. And it doesn't quite make sense because the beans still come from Ethiopia and the different places. I don't know what it is. It's just
better.
Australians just have a greater respect for coffee.
Respect the beans.
Than the issue. Than the English. Yeah, we respect the beans. They are roasted better. They are brewed better, or ground and poured, and it's just a whole better process. I don't need to give people a lesson on being a barista.
No.
Just to say, the coffee is just better in Australia. I think the other thing, depending on where you live, like it was a little bit difficult in a small community where we lived majority of the time in Australia. There were a couple of cafes that were like, right, we're going to up our coffee game. And they did, and they had great coffee, but there was only like 2 cafes that I can think of off the top of my head where you knew you could go and pretty consistently anyway, get a good coffee. That's actually a little bit of an outlier. When we were down south travelling in the van, you could go to any coffee shop and not have to worry about the coffee. It was just going to be good coffee. When I say good coffee, I mean like I haven't experienced coffee like that at all anywhere here in England since I've been back. So if you know of any amazing coffee shops in England, in the northeast of England, because I'm not driving more than... I would drive an hour for good coffee. I literally would drive an hour for good coffee. So if you have any suggestions for me, good coffee shops, and don't just give me the mediocre ones, I mean good coffee shops, in an hour vicinity
let us know.
Of Chesterley Street,
I don't know.
Let me know. I would really appreciate your suggestions. Thank you. Alright, that's all we've got this morning. 10 things that we miss about Australia. I think we should do 10 things that we love about England as well.
It's only fair.
It's only fair.
Like, we can't have a biased thing here.
And I love a lot about England as well. I mean, we moved back here, so
yeah.
There's plenty of good things to say.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye now.
I love that. But yeah. And I mean, we've seen it in many videos, like Australia's coffee culture is just the best in the world. From what I've seen from multiple videos from different countries and people going to Australia and tasting the coffee, and it's like they tell you like Australia just got the best coffee over there. Like they just have it. They just like I guess she said they respect the culture more. They respect the beans more. They roast them better. They brew them better. I'm not a coffee guy, so none of that matters to me, but a lot of people are coffee people, and Australia is the best coffee. That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon and drop it in the comment section. It's your boy, Neal. Out.